Hello, everybody. Welcome again to the Purpose Podcast. I bring you another episode. This is episode 20. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about being blessed and blooming. We're going to talk about faith. We're going to talk about growth, empowerment, and helping women heal, grow, walk boldly in their God given purpose. It's going to be an awesome time. The goal it's going to help us move from beyond simply talking about an organization and listening and understanding why Blessed and Blooming exists and who designed it and who we're going to serve. Put your hands together for Miss Shamika Bonds as we bring her on. She's going to introduce herself and she's going to tell you what you need to know about her. Give her a hand clap as she come on.
Hello, everybody. It's an honor and a pleasure to be on the podcast today to really speak about my organization. I'm a single mom, master's level social worker who created the women's support group Blessed and Blooming. This community is just a safe space where women, can come in and heal and grow past all the pain, the hurt, the insecurities, and the challenges in life that they have faced so they can boldly become and walk into the purpose that God is calling us to be. So I'm excited about this episode and to be able to unpack all of the details in regards to the group, how you can join, and some of the up and coming events that are going to be planned. So, again, I am honored to be here and I'm so excited about this episode.
Let's get into this, man. I'm excited to have you on today. So, what does it mean to bloom? What does it mean to bloom? And what does it mean? What does blooming mean to you in this season of your life?
Blooming means, regardless of, again, the challenges, the traumas, the insecurities, the narratives that have been created, bloom anyways.
Yeah,
Show up anyways in the moments where you feel like you don't have the desire to do what is needed. Show up anyways. And
yeah,
this space is not really for women who have it all together. If you have it all together, this may not be the space for you. This is really for those women who are having a hard time overcoming some challenges. So
right.
again, it's show up anyways, regardless of what I've been through, regardless of what I'm carrying, regardless of what they may have said about me, the narrative that has been created. I'm going to bloom, blossom, allow my light to shine. So that's exactly what blooming means. And it's exactly what blooming means to me in this season.
That's awesome, man. How did you come up with that word blooming? Where did that come from?
Well, in the beginning, I again am a single mom. So after I gave birth to my daughter, I'm sorry, I dealt with a lot of things mentally, right? A
Right,
lot of things
right.
that are not spoken about, especially in the Black community, right? Because we as women, we're taught to be so strong, like, keep going. It's okay, so it really took a toll on me. So, as a mental health provider, needing mental health therapy, assistance from my primary care, all of that. So, it really sparked a flame in me to be an advocate for women who have children go through postpartum, those challenges. So in that moment, like, I pondered on it for so long because I felt like I needed to be perfect, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah, I understand
So
that.
the Lord kept coming to me. And then it's like, what better time than this? So that was right before July because I sent out my first newsletter July the 1st. And it was like, what better time than now? So it's like, okay, well, I'll open it up to all women, because again, in Black communities, I feel like women don't have much as a safe space as they should, and they're not
That's
supported
good.
as we
Yeah.
go through the challenges and things that we go through to let us know that we're not alone and this is normal, you know. So that was the space that it was created from, just to bridge that gap and honestly to be the change that I wanted to see.
That's good because you're right. A lot of us, a lot of times, women and men don't have a safe place where you can go and vent, and a free place where you don't get judged about your past and your difficulties. This is a place where you can come and vent and not be judged about what you've been through and how life has treated you. And this is a
Mhm.
good place to be. So what does it look like to grow when life doesn't feel good?
So to grow while life is lifing, this is really where you want to put your faith in place, right?
Yeah.
And you ask for strength from God because there's no other way you're going to be able to do it, to stand up, because it's very clear. He said many times in his words that we should lean on him and not our own understanding. So a lot of times in those times when we are vulnerable, that's what we begin to do because mentally our focus is off, you know, so we try to deal with things on our own. So it's really giving God, laying our burdens down, right?
Right.
So it's like once we lay those burdens down and actually give it to Him, He can allow us to freely walk away and continue to walk and grow in life while I'm putting some things behind, or I'm putting some things behind, but down, because we carry so much.
Yeah,
So
that's
the main
good.
thing is to drop what I can't control and keep pushing, give it to God and allow His will to be done. So that's the main thing.
And before I get too far into this podcast, and I forget every time, this episode is being sponsored by vibepress.org. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat somewhere where y'all can go and look at their merchandise. They provide all my t-shirts. I got coffee mugs. I got other merchandise that I'm working on that they're gonna drop. So
And I
give
have my
Vibe.
merchandise on today. Thanks and shout
Ah,
out to Vibe Press.
yeah, Vibe Press. That's go check them out. Vibepress.org. They getting it in, and yeah, I want to make sure I put a token in for them because they doing big things right now. So, how do you recognize that God is still working in us in difficult seasons? Because when you hit a difficult season, it don't feel good. It don't look good. You could be down at your last, but at the same time, we got to understand that God is still working even in our difficult seasons. And the reason why God is still working because we're able to move forward. So as you look at your own life and you look at your platform, how do you recognize that God is still working in your difficult season? Just make it personal in your difficult seasons. How did you recognize?
Um, that's a wonderful question. Very deep. He began to make things plain. He began
Yeah,
to put people and things in place so that I was highly aware that he was working, right? Because
right,
we
right,
pray and we ask for these things, and I'm very mindful that his blessings can come from anybody. It doesn't matter what they look like, right? So I'm
right.
always vigilant when it comes to things of that nature and open to listen to different people because I know he'll come to me in different ways. So with that being said, um just have that ear, those eyes to see, right? Those the ear to hear, the heart to feel for that discernment, and really be convicted during that time to understand that, you know, this is for you. I am with you. Like, because sometimes life challenges can make us bitter, but why should we become bitter? Because he already said in his word, in the midst of chaos and calamity, we are still to be of good cheer. Sometimes that's not the easiest thing to do, right? But it's also not, for me, it's not easy for me to go out and portray how I'm feeling or project it on other people. So while he's working on me, I'm still showing kindness, compassion, and love to his people because I would want the same in return. And that's what he told me to do, you know? So um I think for the most part, that foundation, if you don't have that foundational relationship with him, you won't be able to hear, see, understand when he is walking with you in the midst of your calamities or your challenges or adversities that you face in life.
Right, because in our growth comes from our difficult seasons. You know, if you hadn't,
Mhm.
how do you expect to grow if you haven't been through anything in life? We grow through difficult seasons. Difficult seasons are put in our life to make us better, to seek God, to serve God more. So if I've never been sick, then how would I know God to be a healer? If
Exactly.
I'd never been in a place where I was broken, then how would I know God would be a waymaker, a mind regulator, can heal my broken heart?
Mhm.
You learn that from going through difficult seasons in your life when God has to snatch you out of the muck and place you back on the right place. So
Mhm.
that's how you recognize that God is still working in your difficult season. And another thing is because I still have my praise in the midst of my difficult seasons, that means that
Yes.
because I still have my praise, that means to me, God is still working because I can still lift up a praise even though I don't feel good, even though my heart is broken, even though I'm going through a difficult season, life is hitting me in the head and so much is going on, but somehow I still find time to give God praise. And that's to me how you realize that God is still working in your difficult seasons. That I've been through the fire and I don't get burned. I've been
Yes.
through the fire and I don't even look like what I've been through. That right there is enough by itself to say God is still working in my difficult seasons. The flood didn't drown me because God opened up an umbrella and kept me safe. That's how I know God is still working in difficult seasons of my life. So, hey, that's good stuff. That is good stuff. So, was there a season in your life when you realized you need to grow differently? Whew, that's good right there.
Yes, of course. After becoming a mom and also right after I became a mom, shortly after I became a youth leader, and I knew in that role, like my students and my child, they are a reflection of me as I am a reflection of them.
Right,
Therefore, I knew I had to show up differently, and grow not only in Christ, but in the physical. Like one of my main things is modesty and
right.
making sure that I'm displaying that, that you can be confident while being modest for the girls, Um, but yeah, so those were 2 times I can definitely say that I had to change, I had to grow a little bit different because again,
Right.
they're paying attention to everything and this is my forever phrase, be the change that you want to see. I can't be the change you want to see. So instead of complaining about how things can be done, if you have some type of, ambition or initiative, be that change, show up differently. So I can't teach them one way and I'm going another way. It's not going to add up,
Ooh, what you?
So it would be like, do as I say and not as I do. So
Uh,
that was a season of my life I definitely had to grow different.
man, that was you said a mouthful right there. I can take you to the water, but I can't make you drink
I
it.
can't make you drink it.
Yes, sir. I
Mhm.
love that. So when you hear your own phrase, blessed and blooming, what does that mean to you personally? What does that mean?
It to me, it means that I'm walking in the purpose that God has called me to be.
Yeah, yeah.
It means that you made the first step, you had the faith to make the first step, and he's gonna turn it into exactly what he wanted it to be. He just needed me to do what I did to begin with. So, it makes me, excited. Of course, he gets all the glory because 'cause I'm just a vessel. but I'm so grateful to be able to be a vessel for women in this season, because that definitely means a lot as well, because it's like you hear, see, your feel your father coming through me. And that to me is one of the greatest gifts, to be able to allow people to trust you enough to, open up and tell their stories and feel safe. And so I just give God all the glory
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah. That's
he
good.
allowed me to be one of his vessels in this area, so I'm grateful for
Yeah.
that.
Let's make this a little personal. Uh, what does blooming look like when you're coming out of a season of pain? So, what did your blooming look like when you came out of your season of pain?
Um, it looked like God helping me, continuing to help me to grow into the woman that he created me to be, right? So,
Right.
with that being said, it was go through the pain, but don't carry it, right? So, go through the fire, as in Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They
Yeah.
were in the fiery furnace, but they didn't come out smelling like smoke, right? So
Right.
that's what it was for me. I was in the fire. For sure. I was in the fire. There's no way I would have been able to stand in that fire without my father with me.
Come on.
Right? So blooming
Come
for
on.
me in that darkest time of my life was, you've seen the movies where things blow up and the person might be, and you're like, "Ah," and then next thing you know, they coming through the smoke.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
always the image of myself in that dark moment of my life. It's like, here I go.
Yeah.
Better than I was before. Mind you, it did take a little time. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of patience. It took a lot of awareness to grow. So, with that, blooming just looks like showing up regardless of, I'm not ashamed, you know, I'm accepting of everything that took place, I'm open to. So it, it just, I don't know, words can't really describe it, but it was just like a flower. It's really, flowers go through seasons.
You better talk
So
about that.
when the flowers go through the seasons, you don't get that pretty, beautiful pink, yellow. You don't get it
No.
all 4 seasons, right? But you can bet your bottom dollar that when it's time for it to show its beauty, it's gonna show up.
Oh
Some
yeah.
people might have given up on those plants while they were in their phase of going through, right?
Right.
Some they may have said like, I don't know if they're gonna do pretty good this season. And then when the season comes, like, oh my gosh, it did really. That's what blooming is to me.
Man, you said a mouthful then. A
Yeah,
whole lot.
that's what blooming is to me.
So let's talk about this. Can you bloom in a broken environment, or do sometimes we need to change our own environment?
Um, God can use us wherever we are,
Yeah.
whether we are still healing or whatever the case may be, because we're not perfect.
Right.
However, the pain can affect how we show up, right? It can
Right.
affect how we love people. It can affect how we trust them. It can affect how we lead others. It can also affect how we see ourselves.
Right. That's
So
true.
the most important part of this is, you know, healing helps us be able to go through that process a whole lot easier. It's
Right.
not saying that it can't be done. It's not saying that it can't be done while you are going through pain, but what it is saying is you would be able to benefit better if you healed,
Right.
if you go through the process of healing. So that's exactly how I would respond to that.
Because you think about it, when you're looking at in broken environment, we all have seen flowers. Well, I would say flowers that come out of broken concrete. I'm going
Mhm.
somewhere.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
you've seen cracks inside of sidewalks or
Mhm.
driveways, and you've seen that a flower come through the crack. So that means
Absolutely.
that the sidewalk went through some difficult seasons, through some brokenness, because now it has a crack through the sidewalk. But in the middle of that sidewalk or that driveway, up comes the flower out of some dirt.
Yep.
So that means
Absolutely.
so that means that even though my life go through difficult seasons and go through the dirt, I'm at the lowest point of my life, that even through those broken environments, that God
Mhm.
can still raise a flower out of a broken situation. I was
Exactly. But the healing process helps us walk in our purpose, and we're more free
right,
instead of always being on edge and in survival mode and things of that nature. So that's where the healing comes in better. It makes the process better, but you can still show up.
right, right. So what's one thing God has been teaching you in your current season that you're in right now?
Um to bloom anyways.
To bloom in the dirt, to bloom in the
To
broken
bloom
environment.
anyways.
Yep.
To bloom anyways, whether I'm frustrated, feel betrayed, let down, confused, anxious, sad, mad, bloom anyways.
Bloom anyways. Bloom
Walk into
anyway.
that purpose that I've called you to do anyways. Cause it's not, again, none of us are perfect. So it's
Right.
not gonna be a perfect time for you to show up. Bloom anyway.
Bloom anyways.
Mhm.
Hey, we in the purpose lab anyway, so we blooming. We blooming in the
We
lab.
blooming.
We blooming.
Blooming in the purpose lab.
Blooming. I like that. Blooming in the purpose lab.
Yep.
So what needs do we see in women that aren't being addressed right now? What are some needs that, because this is your organization, and one of your things, I believe it is to motivate and uplift and lend a helping hand to women. So what are some needs that you see in women that are not being addressed right now?
Um, to be seen,
To be seen.
heard,
Yeah.
validated,
Yeah.
to be secure, to be safe.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Those are the main things.
those,
Mhm.
those are three good ones. To be seen, to be heard, and what was the other one?
To be seen, to be heard, to feel secure
To
and
feel
safe.
secure and safe.
Yeah.
That's four good ones
Because if
right
you
there.
think about it, if she's receiving those four things, she's gonna bloom anyways.
Ooh, yes.
Even more stronger than she would when she's not receiving those things. And to be understood is also another one.
That's good. To be
Mhm.
understood. I like that too. Cause sometimes, I'm a man, you're a woman. Sometimes, women are misunderstood. They come
Mhm.
off as, especially as I would say African American women, they come off as aggressive women.
Mhm. Exactly.
That's not how I see it, but other cultures and other people think that African American women are real aggressive and rah 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 rah, and that's really not.
Mhm.
But that's not the case. But because they have been, like you said, overlooked, have not been heard, don't feel secure. All those things play a part in the reason why, when sometimes as African American women, you may hear that in them. That's because of that situation. They
Absolutely.
have been talking, but nobody's listening.
Absolutely.
And then when you do listen, it's too late, because now what they have been trying to tell you Now you don't want to listen, but now that what she said has come to pass, now you want to listen.
Now
So
you want to listen.
yeah, now so yeah, you gonna get that aggressive because I've told you like 6, 7 times ago, and you ain't listen. But now that you finally starting to see what I'm saying, so yeah, you gonna get that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
so so why is community so important?
Because we are better together.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
we're better together instead of and sometimes the challenges that we face in life, it pushes us to isolate. It makes us feel like no one cares, like,
Mm,
oh, we're tired of hearing that. Get yourself together, whatever the case might be. But that's definitely not it. We are so much better together when we can come together and again feel seen, feel heard, and to just know that, honey, you're not walking in the season of life alone.
alone, right?
Yes. So
Yeah,
I think it's a stigma has been created within the Black community to present as if everything is perfectly fine when we all know it's truly not.
right.
So a lot of times we suppress what's really going on so that we
Mm,
can present a certain way, and what we're stuffing down is what's really killing us at the root.
that's good. That's
Yeah.
that's good right there. And
Mhm.
that's what kind of brings me to the next question is what which we already talked about it, but what you just said, what does it mean to have a safe place for women?
A safe place for me means someone that I can go to, speak about my problems, sometimes to be heard, sometimes to receive that feedback
Mhm.
to help me grow into who I need to become in order to see the situation, the person or thing in a different light to work on me as
Right.
well, right?
Right.
So oftentimes we want to talk about things and we want to get things out, and we've done it and it's happened time and time again, but instead of the person that you're going to truly being there for you, they're not listening to understand. They're listening to respond and listening to gather information so that they can take it to the next spot. But what we have here is another person's insecurities, vulnerabilities, weaknesses in our hands. And instead of us putting our hands together and say, Father God, cover her, we're getting on the phone and saying, hey girl, this is what da 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 da. So
Uh-huh.
the blessed and blooming community is created for once it's in my hands, it's in my ears, it's in my eyes. Father, I lay this down to you. It's not my place to carry it to the next place, because if that's what they wanted it to be, they would have done that in the beginning. And I think a lot of that over the years has been a thing, and it causes women to shut down and shut people out and not be trusting. Remember, we just talked about that a few
Yeah.
questions ago.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
pain, the pain affects how I show up. It affects who I trust. It affects how I look at people. So for a woman who is dealing with something of that nature, not only is she dealing with the challenge that she's facing in her life, but now she's also dealing with trusting someone that she gave it to and they gave it to somebody else. So now I'm shutting down and I'm suppressing, still eating away at that root, right? So
Right.
then not only am I carrying the problem, I'm carrying so much more deeper because I thought I found a outlet, which it turned into something different. So now I just need to hold on to it, but that's not what it's for. So not to step ahead, but for those women who have not made it to the point where they can open up. That's why I encourage, one of my staples for the women of the group is going to be giving them journals as they join the group and things like that. And once we have our little meetups,
Yeah.
give them a journal, because if I don't trust people at this moment, write it down so God can hear you. He will respond. right? But that's
Right.
still an outlet because I'm letting it out. And that's also safe because you're the only person that's going to have access to this journal.
Right. That's
So
good.
that's really, yeah. So that's really
So what was the
awesome.
moment, the very moment you knew that Blessed and Blooming needed to exist? And you said, hey, this got to be it. This is
Yes.
when was that
So
moment?
one day I was at work and I was having a conversation with a coworker that I had just connected with first time, and we were talking about some of the challenges that women face or whatever. And then it's just like again it came over me like be the change that you want to see. So a little time had passed after that, and then I had began to journal, and the Lord said, what better time than this? So are you kidding me? So he like, no, because again, as I begin to make those small steps, I made my flyer, I created it, and I sent it out to everybody that I was connected to.
You did.
But I did, and I said, in this season, offense is not my portion. Let me tell you why. Because usually I am an offensive person. I can get offended very easily, which that's something that I prayed about and I've walked out of that season of my life. However, so I said in this season, I'm sending this to family, friends, people that are connected to me. However, on the flyer, it simply stated if you are willing to join, email Blessed and Bloomin', right?
Right.
So the Lord told me in this season, we're not forcing, right? We're opening this door for the women who need it. So in that day, I got like 20 responses. So I knew at that moment, and even now, like when I send out newsletters, I may get 3 or 4 responses, but I'm okay with that because somebody is getting what God is sending. And
Right.
I'm perfectly fine because my motto has always been one life at a time.
That's it. One at a time.
One life at a time.
One at a
So that in that moment I knew. So once I sent the flyer out and the feedback, the positivity that came back from it, like, oh my God, you're this is about time. Like, so it's just like, Lord, I see you. So in that I knew at that moment, like, this is it. This is it. So yeah.
So what makes Blessed and Blooming different from any other women group or organization? What makes your organization just different, shine?
That's a good question. Uh I really can't say that it's different, but my purpose is, of course, it's faith based. Again, I'm not trying to pressure or force anybody into anything. Really, it's like a faith based psychoeducation group. Um, but I really can't say how it's different from other women groups. I can't. Is that bad?
Well, you just said it. It's faith based. Every
But it's a
every
lot of faith-based groups, but I felt like, I'm not coming from a prophetic or evangelistic standpoint. Again, it's really God is the center of my life. He's the center of this group, but it's really educating women. It's not so much of saying that, I'm predicting your future, or I'm just being a vessel. I don't know. It kind of sounds contradicting, but I really don't know because I feel like we all want the women to feel, safe and to be honest, and you don't have to have it all together. Um so I really can't say that it's better or whatever, but we do focus on faith and healing and mental and emotional wellness, so and personal growth as well. So that could be the difference.
yeah. I mean, every group is not foundation is not like your foundation. So
Okay.
you can take your foundation of what does my foundation of my group stand on, and that would, and then you build off of that, and then that becomes the shoulders for other people to stand on, and that what makes you stand out different than anybody else because of
Right.
and you have a personal connection because you've been into the place where you trying to get other people out, you know.
Mhm.
And some groups, they start, but it's not really. I would say that they haven't been through everything that they're talking about, but you have experienced it for yourself. So
Mhm.
experience is the best thing you can ever have in life. Is that once I've experienced it and I've been through it, and then I know how to come out of it because I've been there before.
Right.
Yeah. So I would say that's what make you different, because and it's free.
It's free. Yeah.
So and that's right there by itself says a lot because a lot of
Yeah.
organizations you got to pay a fee to be
Mhm.
part of my group. You got to pay a monthly fee. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
It's not what God
Yeah,
told
that's
me
what
to
I'm
do.
saying. So
Yeah.
that's what stands out right there because you're not in it for the money. You in it to really
Yeah.
help people grow and help women grow and get to a better place in their life.
Right. So now, like with the convention, um, which will be planned at a later date or whatever. Now that may come with a registration fee,
Well, of
to
course, that's
include,
yeah, yeah.
lunch and things of that nature. But however, no, it's absolutely free. It's not a monthly subscription. I am working to get a Facebook group started so that I can get out more motivation, um, on more of a weekly basis because the newsletters only come out bi-weekly, so I'm working on that. So soon, hopefully, I'll have that in place.
Oh yeah, it's going. I see it jumping off to something really, really big, and where you can get to a place where you can help women grow and get
Mhm.
to a better place in their life.
Right.
What happens to women when they finally realize, or I ain't gonna say women, I'll say what happens to a woman when she finally realizes she doesn't have to go through life alone?
Again, she feels safe. She feels seen. She feels valued. She feels secure. Um, she feels understood, because again, we can walk alone all day, but when you got somebody that can relate to what you're going through,
Yeah,
that can kinda give you some insight on how they navigated through it and what brought them through, some things for you to try. Because this is not really so much of a cookie cutter approach, it's really what works for you, but to have someone alongside you, like you just said, to have experienced some of these challenges in life, it makes you feel better and it helps you to be able to navigate through it a little bit better.
right. So let's talking about healing a little bit. We ain't really touched on that a little bit. Let's talk about that a little bit. So
Okay.
what are like unhealed wounds that that women go through that you take? Because this is what I look at. I would say unhealed wounds, you could bring that into a new space and it's called baggage, right?
Yes. Mhm.
If you don't heal from and that's life period, not just on for as women, that's everybody period. We have unhealed wounds and
Mhm.
childhood experiences. You don't really take it and try to figure out what really happened, and all that stuff begins to build up on the inside of you. Relationship trauma, all those are like unhealed wounds that we don't really like to talk about. Rejection and abandonment, those are some more uh healing things that as not just as a woman but as a man and a woman that we have to deal with as we just talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, so talk about that a little bit. Well, like, what is an unhealed wound versus childhood? I would say childhood experiences is more. It's
Yes, absolutely. So unhealed wounds are more like, emotional hurts that haven't been fully processed or healed. They can,
right.
like you just said, they can come from childhood experiences, rejection, abandonment,
Yeah.
unhealthy relationships, betrayal. Some people that deal with grief, disappointment, divorces. and just constantly putting other people before yourself. So it's like when we don't deal with those wounds, they often show up in other areas in our lives and we don't even realize it. So it's like constant,
Right.
people pleasing, having that fear of rejection or abandonment. Like myself, I grew up, my mom was a single mom. My dad was in my life, but he wasn't in my life. So I had abandonment issues. So as I growed older as an adult woman, I realized that. So I began to seek for that security in men, right? So that's unhealed, but that awareness, because in the healing process, and I know this is not part of the question, but it's gonna make sense.
It's part now.
So,
It's part of it now.
okay, so in the healing process, right?
Right. Come on.
I read a quote. It said everybody has three faces,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you have your professional face, who you show up as work and church as, right?
Right.
Then you have your second phase where your family and your friends they see a little bit of that vulnerability, right? And then you have that third phase. That's the one that nobody sees. That's the one that you've put on this persona through church, through work, around your family, your friends, and then you come home, and as soon as you close the door, you break down. And that's
Mm.
where you harbor in all that pain, that hurt, that guilt, that disappointment, that betrayal, the toxicity from those unhealthy relationships. That's who we need to see in this process. Blessed and Blooming is geared to open these women up so that they can present this third face. Because
Mm.
guess what? That's who's holding all of these unhealed wounds.
That's good right
Right?
there.
So if we can get to that third phase, the first and the second can show up a little bit more
Wow.
free.
Yeah, that's
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. So that's just how it looks.
Listen. You just said a triple mouthful then. A triple
Yes.
mouthful because take the mask off, right?
Take the mask off. Take the mask off.
Let's
No,
see.
nobody's looking. Take it off. Let me see.
Nobody's looking.
Yes.
But what I realized though, as people, we don't really take it off until we can get to a point where we really trust the person.
You feel safe.
Yeah, just like you said, you feel safe.
Exactly. When you feel safe. I'm not going to allow you to see me at my most
You-
vulnerable form until I feel safe.
right. And
And
then
then once I feel safe, I begin to unpack. But it's not just like a vomiting your lap type of thing. It's little by
little
little.
by
So
little.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
give you
yeah.
this and I'm gonna see what you're gonna do with it.
Right,
Right?
right, right, right,
Yeah.
right, right, right. And I mean that's true because once you've been through difficult season, you learn things in life. You're not going to open up so easily until you really see that that person is really going to be in your life because
Right.
the relationship trauma, that's what happens. You've been through bad relationships, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife,
Friends.
mama, yeah, mama,
Mm-hmm.
daddy, brother, sister, all those are relationship traumas. It's not just between you and your spouse, but between you and your parents, between you and your siblings, you and your friends. All of that is called relationship trauma because you was in a relationship with them as a friendship. That was a friendship,
Right.
and you go through disappointment in friendship in brothers and sisters.
Right.
The biggest thing is, and this is one of the things that we probably really needed to hit hard is forgiveness. What
Yes.
does that sit at in when we're talking about blooming without blooming and blessed and blooming? What does forgiveness come in at? Because that has to be like the foundation of blooming and blessed and blooming.
Yeah. So you have to, uh, in order to forgive, you have to forgive yourself first.
Yes.
So it's a huge part of the healing process, because the healing and the forgiveness go hand in hand, right?
Right.
But like I said, sometimes we do need to forgive people who've hurt us, ourselves. Sometimes we don't release the hurt fully enough to even understand. So Forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean that what happened was okay, and it doesn't always mean reconciliation.
Right.
However, it means that I'm choosing to let that pain I'm choosing not, I'm sorry, to let that pain control my life anymore. It's about freeing up that space and allowing God to heal my heart so I can move forward.
I'm choosing me.
I'm choosing me. I'm choosing me and I'm freeing up this space because it's so heavy, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So it's like I'm not forgetting about what was done, but if I don't, what's the point of me carrying it? Because it's getting heavier and heavier. But the more I release it, the more I'm freeing up this space. And again, here comes that word again. I'm free.
Free.
I feel more light. I feel more airy. I'm trusting the process. I'm seeing who God is transforming me to be by letting that go. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna bring him some more stuff.
Right. Right.
So yeah,
Why do you think so many women struggle to acknowledge that they need healing?
because of past hurt, not feeling safe, not feeling safe, and opening up to people who presented to be safe,
Yeah.
and it turned out to be something totally different. Because these days, people want to hear what's going on with your life just to hear it, but not so much to help you.
Mm. So in other words, they just want to be nosy. They don't want to help.
They wanna be nosy. What's going on? Like,
Yeah.
"Oh, girl, I found out what's going on with her,
Uh,
this and that and the third." Yeah, so that's really and you don't feel safe. I have so many of these conversations. I just had one last night at work, about women, how, malicious intent.
yeah.
And this day and time, it's not only women, it's everybody.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's intentions
Oh
aren't
yeah.
pure anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody is all about themselves. This is selfish time. How can I gain from this?
Right.
That's really what it's about.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
can see why women don't because of the past hurt and it's just hard.
Yeah. Because you have to deal with, and that's why I say it's not just it's people in general. You have to deal with all of that past hurt and all of that past disappointment, the grief, the loss, and you have to learn how to trust again. You know, just like you go through a difficult season in your life, or you go through something that causes you not to be able to walk, and you got to learn the whole process again of how to walk again. So in
Mhm.
life, we go through difficult seasons that cause us to lose our hurt, lose our trust, lose our the way we feel about certain people, about certain things in life. So we have to relearn how to love again. We have to relearn how to trust again because of the past season that we just came out of when life hit you so hard that you lost all of the trust, lost everything that you were dealing with. Now you at a place now where I got to learn how to love again. I got to learn how to trust
Absolutely.
people again because of what somebody
Absolutely.
else. And you have to be careful that you don't carry that to your next season because
Absolutely.
you know the, when God send people into your life and you got trust issues, and sometimes He sends those people in your life to help you grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
And let me just piggyback on forgiveness
Let's go.
a little bit. The lyrics of the song "I Give Myself Away."
Yeah,
It says, "I give myself away so you can use me."
yeah,
So I'm gonna switch it up just a little bit. Just like the military, right? You have people that are joining the military, and sometimes they go through these processes, and they go and they say, "Okay, well, you need to be 160 pounds, have uh 20% body fat, you need to have this much muscle." So what does that person do? They go back out and they work. They get rid of whatever the army says or the military, the service says that they need to get rid of to be used,
right,
right? So
right, right.
in this season of blessed and blooming, I give myself away so you can use me. With that, I give all of these things to you that is hindering me from being used.
Right.
Right? So forgiveness is one of those. Unforgiveness is one of those things. Because we are with at Blessed and Bloomin', we believe that every woman deserves the opportunity to heal, and forgiveness is a part of that healing journey. However, it's not about becoming perfect overnight, right? It's
Right.
about taking one step at a
One
time
step at a
towards
time.
that freedom and that peace and the purpose that God has for you. So with that being said, I can't do that if I don't give myself away so that I can be used. And when I say that, myself, what is within me that is not pleasing to God, that is not usable
Yeah.
for Him. So I have to give those things away, with unforgiveness being one of the top five. So I just wanted to elaborate on that.
Hey, that's good stuff right there. I mean, all that's good. So, what are some signs that a person may need emotional healing?
Um, I would say, like, always trying to express their emotions, right? Because
Mm,
sometimes we can express and again, not be understood. So,
right.
um, I think a lot of it is you're not as kind to yourself. You don't give yourself grace. You have more fear than you do peace.
Mm,
You're not willing to ask for help when you need it.
mm.
Um, you don't have much joy. Um, and you can't talk about your past without feeling overwhelmed. So I think those are some of the main signs that, a person or a woman uh is having an issue emotionally. Um yeah.
Now, you just said, and I caught this. You said you can't talk about your past. Well, to me, if you can't discuss your past, to me, that means you hadn't gotten over it yet. Because
Yeah.
if you have gotten over your past, you should be able to discuss what happened in your past because it's no longer your past. You know, I've gotten over it. I've done the forgiveness. I've forgiven myself. I've received forgiveness from them, and I'm able to talk about what I've been through because it doesn't affect me the way it used to now because I'm able now to move on. And that piggybacks back on forgiveness, like what you said, because
Mhm.
once I've forgiven you for what you did to me, or I've forgiven myself for what I done to you, I'm able to discuss the wound that was brought in. I think a lot of times we like to put a band-aid on our wounds instead of allowing it to
Yes.
heal. What
Yes.
happens when you put a band-aid over it? It covers up. But
It's temporary. And so it goes back to, like you just said, I'm not over this, but just because I covered it and I'm not seeing it,
uh,
and sometimes my mind can trick me to think, and then one little small thing happens and that wound opens back up because you never dealt with it in the first place. You just
uh,
covered it up. So that's still like a form of suppressing, putting it to the side. As we like to say, we brushing it up under the rug. But after
yeah.
so long, that dirt started coming
It
through the
start
rug, and
piling
it's
up.
like, okay, this not working. So with that being said, like it's a lot of times that's what we do. We put a Band-Aid over it instead of sitting with it. Because I don't want to
Ooh.
sit with it, because I don't like how it
Mm.
makes me feel.
I don't
I
wanna
don't
own it.
understand this. I
Yeah.
don't want to hold it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a Band-Aid over. Okay, I don't see the blood, so it's good. But then when you take that Band-Aid off, the whole space is filled with blood, and you see you should have
Mm.
been changed a long while ago, right?
Right.
Because you're not really caring for the wound, like cleaning it, using some peroxide to wipe it up, get some antibiotic ointment on it before you put the Band-Aid up.
Right.
That's caring for that wound,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So really, a lot of times we're not caring for the wounds. We're just actually putting the Band-Aid on it, looking for a quick fix, that instant gratification. And then again, a little knot, nudge, or whatever that's similar to what you covered up with a Band-Aid takes you back to the trauma. And you realize, like, I'm not healed from this. And a lot of times people think out of sight, out of mind,
Oh
but it
yeah.
will surface again because it happened
Oh
to me
yeah.
like not long ago. And I found myself like really angry about a situation. And I thought maybe like, okay, well, since I haven't been dealing with this, I thought I was over it. But really, no, because I hadn't really dealt with the wound. I just covered it up.
Put a band-aid over it. You
Yep.
didn't you didn't let the scab get on and start healing.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Nope. So that's exactly what happens.
That hey, that happens every day. We don't own up to our wounds and we push them
Uh-huh.
aside. I mean, how can you heal for something that you can't say I have a problem? When
Exactly.
people go to rehab, first thing they do is say their name and say, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'm an alcoholic." Now
Yep.
you owning what your wrong is. I'm so and so. I'm a drug addict, and you say what
Yep.
kind of drug you like. Now you owning up to your wound, what you like, and this is your issue. This is my struggle. I own it. It's mine, and I need help. Those are the first stages of healing to me. Is when you say, I own up to what I've done. This is my part of it, and I'm ready to heal, and I'm ready to deal with my wound.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, one of my main things, because again, being a mental health provider, I have been in substance abuse as well. And with that, I used to always tell my clients, if you can name it, you can change it.
Oh, that's good right there.
Right. So, if I can say, hi, I'm Shamika and I'm an alcoholic. I've already acknowledged there go your problem. So, what's your solution? Now, my solution is sobriety. Right?
Yeah.
So in Blessed and Blooming, my solution is healed and free. Right? But what are the small steps that I have to take to get to this? Because sometimes we can keep our eyes so focused on the ultimate goal that
Yeah.
we forget about small steps. But it's really better that you take the small steps and then before you know it, you're at the big goal. And it's like, oh my God, I didn't even realize I was this close to the finish line. It's just like when racers are racing and they're on their marks and then they take off and for so long they hold their heads down. They don't even look up. And then once they look up, they're taking each step until they get to that finish line. They know they're not done until they get to that finish line. And that's when they begin to look around to see. They're looking at the board to try to find where their name and place because not one time did they look in the lane of the person that's next to them.
Right.
Because if I do, I'm going to get off track. I'm going to lose my focus because I'm focused on you. So focusing on those small steps, one step at a time to get to where I need to be because my finish line might be a little bit further than yours.
Right.
But we're in it together, but I'm focusing on me while I'm a part of a community, which makes it more rewarding because I know I'm not in this alone.
Right. That's good. Hey man, this it's coming to an end of our segment, this episode. I've enjoyed myself today. But before we close, I want to ask this question. If a woman is listening today, right now, and she's tired, she's discouraged, she's hurt, she's unsure about her future, what will you say to direct her?
Um, I
This is
would
your
say
moment to shine.
this is my
Ah.
moment to shine. This is my moment to shine. Okay, so first things first, know that you are not alone. Know that God has people and places to help you navigate through whatever it may be that you are challenged with at this time in your life. Take that one leap of faith to connect, if not me, to someone that you feel that you can trust so that you may lay your burdens down, so that you can attain freedom, joy, and peace like no other.
Yeah.
Find someone that you can connect to so that you can take your mask off,
Mm,
so that you become free and walk in your purpose with your head held high and your back straight, with your armor of God on your breastplate, into the purpose and the woman, the mother, the sister, the friend, the child that He is calling you to be. And you are not alone. And in the midst of whatever it is that you're facing, choose to bloom anyway.
Oh, that's good. So all my listeners out here, we thank you for listening to us on the Purpose Lab. Thank you for coming into the lab.
You're
As
so welcome. It was a pleasure.
as we get ready to get out of here, maybe you're not behind. Maybe you're becoming. Maybe you're not buried. Maybe you're planted. And maybe this is your season. It's not the end of your story. It's the soil where God is preparing you to bloom. Hey, thank you for listening. This is the place where lives are changed. This is the place where you come to find your purpose. This is the place where lives are changed and you realize that I can bloom through a difficult season. Make sure you follow us on iHeartRadio. Make sure you follow us on Spotify. Make sure you go follow us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Make sure you like and share all those platforms on your platforms and let people know in the Purpose Lab that you're going to get better, you're going to heal, you're going to grow, and you're going to walk boldly into your purpose. Thank you. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful night. Until the next time, stay focused. Peace.